Oh yeah, we're getting them all. The SPLC, Southern Poverty Law Center. I guess they wanted to change the law. The SPLC is in Alabama. This is a non-profit organization that has been collecting people's money for the past 10 years. At its very core, was supposed to protect people from other social groups or any type of racial groups. Come to find out, they was the one creating the commotion. And just like they do in a mafia movie, they pay somebody else to get the job done. And they pay them well too. They pay for the promotion of racism, to spread racism around town. They pay for socialism. They pretty much pay for all the stuff that they promote to ensure that they keep having money coming in. Wow, 10 years? That's a real job. And from what I heard, the Joe Biden administration just dropped the case for no reason. You know those criminals don't get far without somebody in the inside. Oh, I know Democrats are crying right now. Cry, Democrats, cry.
Guys, this story coming out of Alabama, man, this story coming out of Alabama, the Southern Poverty Law Center right now, I mean, it sounds absolutely crazy. And I get why a lot of people are going to have a hard time wrapping their heads around it. Some folks, they're already rushing to blame the Trump administration, Kash Patel, and the DOJ, calling them the real bad guys for supposedly lying on the SPLC. You can mark my words. Everywhere on legacy media that's not Fox News and News Nation and maybe Newsmax or something along those lines, they're all going to say the same thing. They're going to say, oh man, this is lies, these are fabricated, so forth and so on. But I'm not buying that knee-jerk reaction. I'm not. I don't think that they're lying. Look here. Here's the thing that most people don't fully understand. When you start an organization to fight a problem, whether it's racism, poverty, homelessness, or anything else, and that organization starts bringing in serious bread and creating a bunch of high-profile, high-paying positions, suddenly nobody inside wants the problem to actually go away. See California and the homeless epidemic that they have out there. It becomes a self-perpetuating machine. And, you know, as of their latest filings of fiscal year 2024, the SPLC, they were sitting on roughly between $787 to $822 million in assets. Y'all heard what I said. Almost $1 billion, $750 million in assets. An endowment that has more than doubled since 2016, while pulling in $129 million in revenue that year, mostly from donations. And just yesterday, the Department of Justice, they hit them with an 11 account federal indictment. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche and the FBI Director Kash Patel, they announced that between 2014 and 2023, the SPLC allegedly secretly funneled more than $3 million in donor money to individuals tied to violent extremist groups, to include the Triple Clay, Aryan Nations, and others, using shell accounts and prepaid cards. Now, Blanche put it bluntly, and you guys are going to get a chance to see that for yourself, but he said the SPLC was not dismantling these groups. It was instead manufacturing the extremism it supposedly opposed by paying sources to stoke racial hatred. Now, I'm not dismissing these charges offhand, because the ugly truth is this. The actual supply of overt organized racism in America has been in pretty short supply for a very long time at this point. I mean, take it from me as a highly melanated individual, I can honestly say I personally can't say that I've dealt with any quote unquote discrimination or anything along those lines, at least personally. You know, maybe behind my back, maybe there's some folks that talk crazy when I'm not around or whatever. But, you know, to my face, up close and personal, I just can't say that I've experienced it. And I'm someone that worked in corporate America for 15 years, you know, but when the real thing gets scarce, what do if your entire business model depends on it? You manufacture more to stay viable, to keep the donations flowing, to keep these salaries paid, and to keep the lights on at the Poverty Palace. This isn't some wild conspiracy theory. It's basic human nature and institutional incentives playing out in real time. Once an organization gets this big and this wealthy, fighting a problem, the problem itself can become entirely too valuable to solve. Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Let's go. I wanted you guys to see this because the great Thomas Sowell said this: racism is not dead, but it is on life support, kept alive by politicians, race hustlers, and people who get a sense of superiority by denouncing others as racist. And this is what Thomas Sowell said, quite some time ago. And here we have the SPLC, who makes their living on quote unquote solving the racism problem, which we are alleging that they have zero interest in solving because this race hustle industry is big business. Booker T. Washington said this: there is a certain class of race problem solvers who don't want the patient to get well because as long as the disease holds out, they have not only an easy means of making a living, but also an easy medium through which to make themselves prominent before the public. Booker T. Washington said this at this point now, well over 100 years, 120, 125 years ago, he said this. So what we're seeing and what's happening right now, it's not new. This is something that has been going on for quite some time in this country. And the race hustlers, they have zero interest in this going away, even though race relations are actually better than maybe what they present out there to us on social media and, within legacy media.
Good afternoon. Today, a few minutes ago, in the Middle District of Alabama, a grand jury returned an 11-count indictment charging the Southern Poverty Law Center with 6 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of bank fraud, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. According to the charges in the indictment, the SPLC is a nonprofit entity that purports to fight white supremacy and racial hatred by reporting on extremist groups and conducting research to inform law enforcement groups with the goal of dismantling these groups. As the indictment describes, the SPLC was not dismantling these groups. It was instead manufacturing the extremism it purports to oppose by paying sources to stoke racial hatred. The indictment describes this conduct in detail, but one troubling example is that the SPLC was paying a member of the leadership group that planned the Unite the Right protest in Charlottesville, Virginia in 2017 that resulted in the death of 1 person and injured dozens more. This particular person being paid by the SPLC allegedly received approximately $270,000 over the course of 8 years. In total, according to the indictment, between 2014 and 2023, SPLC paid at least $3 million to 8 individuals at least. These individuals were affiliated with the Ku Klux Klan, United Klans of America, National Socialist Movement, Aryan Nations affiliated Sadistic Souls Motorcycle Club, the Nationalist Socialist Party of America, Nazis, and the American Front. Now, as the indictment lays out, after SPLC paid members of these extremist groups, it created work product that reported on these activities that the members participated in or contributed to. And to that end, it was doing the exact opposite of what it's told its donors it was doing.
This is crazy, man. This is crazy. And I'm glad that they're moving forward with this case. Y'all heard what the brother said at the opening of this clip. This information the FBI has had for quite some time, but the Biden administration told the FBI to drop it, move on, nothing to see here. No, this needs to be discussed, because when people from the right decide that they want to get out there, and operate in their First Amendment right to protest and so forth and so on, you can't have organizations like the SPLC paying people to go in and be agitators to cause ruckus, which eventually in this particular situation, like what happened down in Charlotte, it actually cost someone their lives. I mean, think about it, man. Racism is so non-existent in America that you have NGOs out here literally paying to create it, allegedly. You can't make this up, man. This is insane. I want you guys to hear from Chuck Schumer.
Every day Kash Patel remains in this job is another day that undermines the FBI and its mission. Take yesterday's press conference. The head of the FBI, the nation's top law enforcement officer, spent the entire time getting into fights with reporters about his alleged drunken behavior, his partying, his overall fitness for the job. This has become a dangerous, unacceptable distraction for the FBI, which has so much important work to do. Donald Trump has led us to war right now against Iran, a nation known for sophisticated cyber attacks. Why is Kash Patel not focused on that? Why is Kash Patel not focused on the serious threats facing his country? Every day, these stories of misconduct persist. They undermine the mission of the FBI. Every day, these questions about Patel, his behavior, his character linger. They weaken confidence in the leadership of one of the most important law enforcement agencies in the world. Kash Patel must resign immediately. He's not a serious person. He has not shown that he has the skills required for the job. And the last few days have shown he does not have the judgment to lead an agency like the FBI. This is what happens when Trump just chooses acolytes, people who suck up to him for important jobs. That shouldn't be any criteria in choosing the head of the FBI. But instead, it seems to be Trump's only criteria, and it puts him in trouble. It puts him in the hot seat, in the frying pan, over and over again, by choosing people whose only criteria is loyalty to him. Americans deserve steady, sober leadership from their FBI director, especially during a time of war.
Wow. Wow. Chuck Schumer is out here yelling to anybody that will listen that Kash Patel must resign immediately over an actual DOJ indictment. The federal government doesn't actually vote on this. These are citizens that vote to push these indictments forward. So this dude is upset that the FBI just put forth, an indictment against the SPLC for allegedly defrauding donors and funneling millions to hate groups. You cannot make this up, man. Seriously. Whatever these people, it just lets you know that the rot runs deep within the Democrat Party, man. Seriously. I mean, we are talking about an organization. I told you guys this earlier. We're talking about an organization that has brought in billions of dollars, and they're sitting on basically, let's just say, $750 million endowment right now. And majority of that money comes from donations. We find out, or at least allegedly, that they are paying people off to stoke division and cause chaos. And the FBI is supposed to say, nothing to see here? Are you kidding me? I mean, this is a part of his job. And I'm sure all the things that he mentioned, the FBI is doing. The FBI is vast. But this is huge. This is big. This is huge. This is so wild to me, man.
Racism is a very profitable business. The problem in America is that there's not a lot of customers for racism. Like any good businessman or woman, you can always create your own customers. That's exactly what the Southern Poverty Law Center did. SPLC is an institution created to fight racism. They kept having trouble finding it, at least in a notable fashion. They decided to make a lot of secret donations to a lot of racist organizations, using government funds to create their own customer base. Funding for these organizations created a public panic and a need for an institution like the SPLC to be relevant, which gave the SPLC multiple avenues to big social media sites, even stations at the FBI, in order to dictate not only talking points but investigations. You may not remember, but the SPLC was able to get people kicked and deplatformed and debanked off of websites and institutions. But unfortunately for the SPLC, business is coming to an end.
This is big business, man. Obviously, it's big business. This race hustle industry, and this must be, the SPLC has to be one of the biggest race hustlers in the country. One of the biggest. They're not the only, but they're definitely one of the biggest. And it goes back to, what I was saying earlier, in reference to Thomas Sowell and the statement that, he made that, racism, is not dead, but is on life support. I'm not out here saying that there's no racism in America. I'm not saying that, but it is nowhere near as prevalent as it was maybe 100 years ago. It's just not. But it is being kept alive by politicians, race hustlers, and people who get a sense of superiority by denouncing others as racist. Simple as that. It's a huge grift. And people have been capitalizing off of it for a very, very long time. And one of the key players in this race hustle business has officially been indicted. Now, it's probably going to be a year or so before this case, actually goes to trial or whatever the case may be. I'm still waiting to see, who the key players are, because, they talked about the SPLC, but I hadn't seen any of the people within the organization that have been, indicted and have been, accused of these accusations. But I'm looking forward to seeing it. I want to hear from you guys in the comment section. What are your thoughts on any of this? Hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the notifications on to all so you never miss an upload. Consider joining the ARP family, or you can buy your brother a coffee. That link's in the description box below. I appreciate the love, support, man. As always, keep God first. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you guys next time. Peace.
It is God who arms me with strength. Yeah, I'm battle ready. He trains my hands for battle. My heart stays steady. But thanks be to God, He gives us the victory. Through my Lord Jesus Christ, fear can't live in me. I was down to the dirt, red clay on my shoes, old pain in my shirt, oh so bruised. In the Lord hit my chest, kicked death from my breath, put power in my step.